Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another FPL Expectations stream on the FPL Expectations YouTube channel. It's your boy, FPL Nitro, on here, also known as Nick. You may notice that in the title, it is with Toe, and so will be with us shortly, but do bear with us. He is currently taking care of his daughter. His wife will be back soon, and when she is, so we'll be able to hop back on stream and join us. So do bear with us. But nevertheless, it's another stream. Glad you're here. Always glad to do this. Quick turnaround due to the game weeks. Very, very quick succession. So, yeah, we're here providing the content as much as possible. We're going to be doing a game week 17 review. It's only 7 fixtures, so three of those games were postponed, unfortunately, and caused a bit of havoc. But nevertheless, we still have 7 fixtures to talk about, and a couple of them that do stand out. Heading into game week 18, which is going to get a bit crazy. So, on my ones right now, we're going to go over my team, which I'll put on the screen right now. So, game week 17, it started off pretty well because I owned the beauty that is Phil Foden. I feel like anybody who cashed in lucky with any of the City assets listed here, I think you got it. I mean, I say that, but if you own Bernardo alone, that might have been quite painful to watch. It was another Havertz versus Norwich situation where you keep seeing the goals pile up the 7-0 fixture, but then Havertz wasn't picking up anything. Apologies to anyone who only owned Bernardo, but if you own another midfielder, the likes of Foden, Gundogan, maybe even a KDB, if you're lucky, you were pretty much set. Mahrez too, shout out. So the first part of the game week was pretty good because of Foden, gave me that lead. I took a punt on Lacazette, and he did get an assist, but he did miss the pen, which really sucks. If he scored the pen, he would be on a monster haul, and we'd be talking all about him and how great of a pick he was. But, I mean, you can't win everything. But it does go to show that it was a pretty good pick up until then, and he might be a pretty good pick going into this game week. We'll have to see. We'll talk more about that later. Bachmann, he's my Watford player that came to postponement. But, of course, the Liverpool trio, as much as it looks good, it doesn't do much to rank because most people have them. Jota with a goal, Trent with a gorgeous strike, and of course, an 11-point haul. Salah does Salah things, and the the three in the back have done well. White with a clean sheet, James with an assist, and yeah, the other two, Gallagher, Antonio, and Bernardo, blanks. But enough to take us to a small green arrow. I was sitting at 1.8 something, 1.9 something, and it's now 1.74. So it's very small increments, very small. But we take a green arrow when we can take a green arrow, right? So, we do take those small green arrows, slowly pushing to the top 100. I'm starting to realize that as I get closer to the 100, it's getting slower to enter the top 100 because of... Yeah, I guess it's just the balance of trying to defend rank, but also, not take too many risks with the differentials because they could, backfire badly. So, that is definitely the challenge I'm searching for here. But, I mean, like I said, we take a green arrow when we can take a green arrow. So, overall, 68 points. I used up my 2 free transfers, one of which was Foden, which paid off very well, and the other was Lacazette, which almost paid off well, but in the end did not work out as I'd love to. I did debate Watkins, and of course, hindsight says Watkins was a better pick. But, I had my reasons for Lacazette and just got very, very unlucky with the penalty miss. But nevertheless, 68, good stuff. I think the top player, triple captain De Bruyne, oh my word, and had Saiss, Trent, Jota, Foden, and Watkins as well. So, fair play to him. Triple captaining De Bruyne, big differential De Bruyne is, and I reckon he's going to be on a lot of people's radar heading into the further game weeks to come. But yeah, that's my game week 17. Joe is still not with us, but when he is here, we'll get to go over his game week 17 team. But in the meantime, I think it might be worth looking over some yellow cards, as we normally do on the review session of the FPL expectation stream. So go on over here, the stats. We go and sort by yellow cards. All right, it's kind of small. I think this might be better, hopefully. Let's have a look. Yep, it is. Nice. All right, so a couple of players have served their 5 yellow card suspension. I think the big name here is João Cancelo, who was out for the Leeds game, which is a shame because he could have kept a clean sheet, and I'm fairly confident if he played that game, the 7-0 thriller, he would have gotten some form of return in the form of an assist or maybe even a goal, given how shambolic Leeds were. Firpo collected his red card over the weekend, so he is now suspended. Duffy has now served a suspension. Kanos from Brentford. That's more like it. Basuma suspended too, right? He suspended a couple of names here, right? So just something to be careful about. I think the main name here is definitely Cancelo, maybe Duffy. These two, they're on 6. I think we don't have to worry about them too much until they start getting closer to 10. But yeah, a couple names here. I'm sure Basuma being out will affect the Brighton defense a little bit. But yeah, Cancelo being back is definitely a big boost for most owners. We can play him now. Romeo's on 5. Did he serve his suspension? I'm not too sure. But I think the more important thing here is we should maybe take a look at who's on 4. So we start off La Conga. I don't think he's been playing for Arsenal that much. It's mainly been Xhaka and there you go. So Xhaka and Partey. Is it Partey? Yeah, I should know. I'm an Arsenal fan. These are big ones. I glanced over this earlier and I saw Mings, Cash, and McGinn, pretty big key players in the Villa side. And, Cash has definitely been on the radar for a lot of people, given how he's been more involved in the Villa attack as a fullback. So definitely one to look out for on 4 yellow cards. Mings on 4 as well. He's a vocal leader at the back, the defense. McGinn, too, playing somewhat more advanced role under Gerrard, but he's on 4 as well, so something to be careful about. I don't know how this will affect Villa, but it could definitely diminish parts of their team in terms of experience and attack and threat. Couple guys here. Maupay on 4. Lana on 4. James is on 4. Pretty highly owned players, you can see, 35%. So, and man like Gallagher too. I own both. So definitely one to be careful of. It's the time of the season where a lot of our assets will be reaching to 4 to 5 yellow cards. So do be aware of that as you go ahead and plan. If you're looking to bring in these players, you want to definitely be careful if they're on 4 yellow cards and might, not work out for you if you bring them in right when they get a yellow card and then you just kind of lose that extra game with them. Dina on 4, Decore on 4. You know what? Decore is quite pivotal to the Everton midfield. They have been kind of shaky here and there, but he's a pretty big guy in the Everton squad. So 4 yellow cards, something to be careful. A lot of Leeds players here. Now we know that Leeds are in the mud a little bit in terms of stability. Got a couple people out. Roberts, Rafinha's on 4 as well, and some of these guys are also Cooper. They're suspended too. So it's not looking very good for Leeds. They're going to be missing these people out. Liverpool, we got Robertson on 4 and Fabinho. I think 2 pretty big names here. They might not be highly owned, but I would say in terms of the overall squad, it could affect definitely if Robertson's out defensively and lack of attack on the left. Fabinho being out, I mean, I think he's injured. He's kind of a doubt as well already. He's quite pivotal in terms of the CDM role, protecting that back line. So if he's out, even for a game, it could affect the likes of, we all own Trent. We all own Salah for sure. So most of us own Jota, so something to keep in mind. Diaz on 4 as well, affecting that defensive stability. couple of United players. I think the main names here are Fred and McTominay. They might not be highly owned, but they're probably United's last few CDMs or some form of a CDM. So that would definitely affect the back line and might diminish the attack. There's a lot going on with United. We didn't get to see much because of the postponement of the Brentford game. So, yeah, it's kind of touchy. Despite the good fixture run, I think it's pretty rough to make judgments and big calls about United at the moment. But yeah, definitely worth considering the fact that these two big pivotal players in the midfield are on 4 yellow cards. Yeah, Wilson, I guess, the main name here from Newcastle. Norwich, I guess Williams, Aaron's, some of these guys, Norman. Uh, and yeah, that's okay. Declan Rice is a pretty big name. He may not be highly owned, but in terms of his role in West Ham, he's a pretty integral part. So his absence could definitely cost a bit for West Ham, I would say. So whenever he picks up that fifth, it could definitely hurt West Ham a bit. I will say West Ham have been, kind of a shadow of the team we've seen in the last, first few game weeks. I feel like they've been on and off here and there against big teams. They're kind of, strong, and then they come against some of the smaller teams and just surprises with the fixture results. So I don't know. I mean, nevertheless, Rice is still a pivotal player in that West Ham squad. Everyone else below 4, I feel like for now it's okay. Some of the names, Watkins, I guess, Douglas Luiz in terms of defensive stability. We got, if you scroll back up here, okay, well, good in the defense for Brentford. Ben Mee for Burnley. Okay, Alonso's there, Jorginho. I feel like 3 is still a safe number, but given how quick these games go by, you could pick up yellow cards and bookings pretty quickly. But I would say if they're on 3, it's still all right. The 4 is the number that you want to be careful of, because it's just, I mean, given how physical the game is, they could get booking really quickly. So these guys are all in 3. Not too much to worry about. But yeah, those are the yellow cards for the players as of right now. I did not change the banner at all. My bad. But yeah, it's the yellow cards for as of game week 17 going into game week 18. It's good to have Cancelo back. It's good to have a couple of those players back, highly owned players. With that in mind, Joe is still not with us. Unfortunately, sorry about that. I know a lot of people were here ready to see Joe. I was ready to hear what he had to say. But nevertheless, thank you for all. Thank you all for still tuning in. I do appreciate the support. I think maybe it's worth me putting out there right now. I know the deadline's coming soon. It is Friday evening, 11 o'clock at night. The deadline is tomorrow. I think it's a later deadline, if I'm not mistaken. We can check here real quick. Yeah, so it's a later deadline on Saturday. I think they even pushed it back a bit. I'm pretty certain it was earlier, like 7 p.m., but I'm pretty sure they pushed it back due to the postponements and stuff. I'm sure the council, is it a council? The Premier League council had to take some time to meet together. They issued a couple statements about COVID. So yeah, game week 17 has been kind of crazy because we knew Brentford and United was going to be called off before the game week started. So that kind of messed up a lot of people who had the likes of Ronaldo, the low United players. Then we kind of had the doubts of the Spurs versus Brighton game, right? Oh no, it's a Leicester game. Sorry, the Spurs versus Leicester game. We kind of had doubts already, but going into the game week, they hadn't updated it yet. And then, sure enough, later on, we found out it was postponed. And then, yeah, I think the one that hurt a lot of people, especially those on a King Dennis double up, was the postponement of the Watford versus Burnley game. Which is, yeah, that one came out of the blue, out of nowhere. I didn't even realize it was postponed until like I woke up the next day and it was like, oh, okay, well they didn't play. That's why I have a blank in my goalkeeper and in the form of Bachmann. So 3 games postponed in the span of one game week. And looking at game week 18, it's not looking very good. Probably our first official blank game week with only 5 fixtures playing. And I'm pretty certain some of these fixtures are not even like for certain to like maybe I don't know what the situation is with Spurs, right? So this game, which a lot of us own triple Liverpool, it could be pretty detrimental if all of a sudden it was called off, right? Depending when it's called off, what moves do you take? Um, I know this is the game week 17 review, but it's kind of like we're using the information we've taken from this game week 17, the craziness that is game week 17, and kind of like foreshadowing it for 18. We won't get into it too much, but I assume this is going to be a pretty interesting game week because I think it's either going to make or break your rank. Do you know what I mean? Because some people are going to go aggressive. Some people are going to just try and long it out, including myself. I'm probably just going to try and float. And, I will take a gray or a green arrow anytime. Even a red arrow, even if it's small, it's fine. I feel like a lot of people are going to be taking hits and stuff. So if you just kind of play patient, it should be fine. I think the main takeaway here is I know a lot of people are thinking about moves right now, but I feel like it's definitely worth like holding off on them transfers just yet. And we're getting close to the deadline, but we have been given a couple of extra hours to just think on it. So um, as long as we're given more information, maybe, right? Because anything can happen from now until tomorrow. As we've seen time and time and again, things change so quickly and they will continue to change. So my best advice as of right now, not looking into any of the fixtures in detail, is to just maybe be patient a bit, hold off. You can definitely experiment and figure things out, like what in the event of something happening, what can you do, combinations, but don't make any definitive moves, especially if you've got free transfers with you in your hand. You don't want to waste them and then only to find out in a press conference that the game might be postponed or a player is out. It just would really, really mess up the game week. So that would be my best advice. I have played around with the bus team, but haven't made any transfers. I have one free transfer. I have 9 players playing, and I have no bench. So this will be quite interesting. I mean, a couple of the fixtures there are definitely really nice. So we'll have to hope that works out for that. For those of you that are just joining us, thank you for joining. Appreciate the support as always. Myself in the title says with Zoe, but Zoe is currently taking care of his daughter, awaiting his wife to return home so that he can join us on the stream. And when he does, we will most definitely look over his Game Week 17 review for his team. I see a couple of frequents. Hadi, welcome back. 68 points. Oh, he's talking about with nine men going into Game Week 18 with 10 men with no bench cover. Yeah. Wait, is that your team, Hadi? Please clarify, because I also got 68 points, I believe, in my team. I would assume you're talking about your team, right? Because I have 9 players going into Game Week 18. Yeah, okay, that's probably your team. Sorry, I got confused. I thought you were talking about my team. But yeah, Hadi's got 68 points with 9 men. I mean, fair enough. Yeah, thank you for the clarification. 68 points with 9 men is respectable. It's a safety above the safety score. It's a green arrow, and we most definitely take green arrows when we can. Going to Game 18 with 10 with no bench cover, I feel like if you can even get 10, I'm assuming this is before transfers, but if you have 10 players without making any transfers, I think you're a lot better than a few other people. I'm sure a lot of people out there are going to struggle. I'm on 9, as I just mentioned, without any moves, and I have no bench. So I'm definitely going to be looking at a transfer for sure. Knowing my nature, I might end up holding altogether, but I think with 9 players, I definitely need to have some form of points coming in one form or another. Even if it's a blank, right? Even if it's a 2-pointer, we'll take it. So yeah, I mean, stay tuned for tomorrow's stream, the Game Week 18 preview, and we'll definitely talk a lot about strategy, talking a lot about potential players and moves you could do. Marcus is back. Good to see you. 10 players with 2 free transfers. That's not a bad scenario to be in, if I'm being honest, because like I said, I feel like if you have 10, players, you're already sound, but you have two free transfers, which you can definitely use to your advantage. You can then save your free hit. You know, it's definitely tempting to go for the free hit this game week, but if you don't have to play it, that's more power to you. So great stuff. Hadi, yeah, the choice of keeping two free transfers was a good plan. Yeah, yeah. Wait, so you have two free transfers, is that correct, Hadi? As of right now, yeah. I mean, anyone with two free transfers in this game week, it's kind of like a free hit already, provided your team isn't in shambles. I've got one free transfer. I used both last game week. I still feel like that's good enough. Uh, I've only taken one hit this entire season, and it's kind of paid off quite a bit. So I will try not to take a hit if possible. But I feel like everybody's gonna take a hit. The majority of players will definitely be taking at least one hit. So, yeah. FBL Bagus, good to see you. Singapore represent. It is good to see you. Yeah. Wait, I'm pretty sure it's the FPL Expectations League. Yeah, you're the one that's giving me the run for my money. So, yeah, FPL Bagus, is good to see you here. Hadi, yeah, the clarification for two free transfers. I'm so sleepy right now. Stayed up for the Chelsea game, only to end up being a draw. And yeah, I mean, you know what? That might be a good way to segue into the game week 17 review. Um, Unfortunately, Zoe is still not with us, but when he is here, we'll go over his team. However, in the meantime, I think it's worth keeping you guys entertained and going over the fixtures. Well, whatever left of the fixtures, which are the 7 fixtures we had for game week 17. Yeah, we'll definitely talk on the Chelsea game quite a bit. Well, let's make this a little bigger. It's kind of small. Sorry about that. My screen is just really small. Hopefully that's better. First game, which I know a couple Watkins owners are going to be quite pleased about. Norwich versus Villa. It was a 2-0 win to Villa. I don't remember if any of us from the preview got it right. Oh, Swang got it right. So Swang got it bang on right. He predicted 2-0 to Villa, and fair play to him. With Watkins scoring a goal and an assist. Fair play. Ramsey as well with a goal. Yeah, I kind of glanced over this fixture in terms of stats. Aston Villa, you know what? The possession was kind of 50-50, but Villa had the better stats in terms of shots in the box, big chances. So I guess this kind of reflects in the score as well. But I mean, to keep 50% of the possession, I'm sure that's just stats. Maybe you definitely need to watch the game a little bit more and see why that is. But I mean, clearly Villa came out better on top. So yeah, fair play to Watkins owners. This was definitely, given the fact we have so limited forward options, the fact that Watkins worked out must have been so good to a lot of managers. I think there was I don't know if you're here watching right now, but there was a manager who took a -12 because they did a couple of moves before the press conference, and then the United game got postponed. Then they had to take another 2 transfers to change those United players. And I think they brought in Foden and Watkins. And so the -12 ended up working very, very well. I don't know if you're here, but just fair play to you. I did reply to you on Twitter, so fair play. That was good stuff on your behalf. I mean, it couldn't have worked out any better. A -12 that ends up being repaid in the form of double-digit hauls from Foden and Watkins. So very glad that happened for you and kind of saved your game week. So yeah, Norwich, Villa, Norwich, just despite showing a bit of promise in the last few game weeks, I think they're still struggling to find it. And then on the other hand, Villa are showing. I know it's an easy fixture, but Gerrard kind of needs these fixtures to build the confidence for the team. So if Watkins continues, I mean, it's a very, very good sight to see. He did play a 4-3-3. Watkins playing the false 9. So if he keeps that spot, then he's definitely a really good pick at 7 point. Is it 7.5? Yeah. Oh, 7.7. So definitely a budget option to look out for in contrast with Antonio. All right. Another fixture, the next fixture to look at, I'm sure one that a lot of us have profited from. Well, most of us, I would say. 7-0 to Leeds. I think Swang got pretty close to. Wait a minute. No, I apologize. It wasn't Swang. Swang and I predicted goal fest. Swang predicted 3-0. I predicted 4-0. Well, it was the combination of our scores. In fact, it was 7-0. Oh my goodness me, 7-0 thrashing of Leeds. I mean, a brief glance at the stats will show that City just kind of dominated with a lot of possession, with all the shots, all the chances, and kind of just kept Villa. It kind of kept Leeds, at bay. 64% possession for City, 31 shots to Leeds is 6. Four big chances to Leeds is 0. Yeah, it's just done out. It's just done out. The staggering amount of stats for this game. De Bruyne is a big name. He's been kind of quiet for the last few due to, I guess, injury and rotation, but he's come back with a bang. And oh my word, his goal, the strike, I think, the one that Gundogan assisted. I mean, it just reminds us of why he is so dangerous and a very popular pick of that in FPL back in the day. So he's back with a brace. Good for him. Yeah, I mean, everyone just kind of had a goal. It's peak when Ake scores as well. Not like disrespecting him, but like when the two center backs get involved in the goals as well, it's kind of peak. So fair play to them. Stones with the goal as well. Grealish, Foden. I think a lot of people opted for Foden in addition to Bernardo. So this definitely paid off. And yeah, for those who just had Bernardo, it's just a pain. It's just a Havertz situation again. Gundogan with the 2 assists, so he paid off as well. Mahrez with the goal and assist, so he's a pretty good pick too. I think he's quite differential. Very differential. So yeah, good stuff all around. I think Firpo is suspended. My apologies. Melier was kept busy quite a bit. But yeah, I think it was just a defensive meltdown from Leeds. They're missing players, missing some key players. This was just, they're facing a City side that are just on fire at the moment. So unfortunate for them, but yeah, 7-0 City versus Leeds. We move on to day 2 now. We got Brighton versus Wolves, 1-0 to Wolves. I think, okay, so none of us got it. Swang predicted 0-0. This would be the kind of 0-0 fixture you would expect. I predicted 1-0 to Brighton. But turns out it was 1-0 to Wolves. Size scored. I didn't watch the highlights to this game, so we're going to have to pull up the highlights with this. But I think the goal was scored. Let's take a look real quick on Chatasofa score. The goal was scored just before halftime. Roman Size. And then statistically, we can see it's a pretty... Brighton may have had 59% of possession. I feel like it's a pretty balanced game though. I feel like if it's within that range, it's still pretty balanced. Brighton did take a couple more shots, but it was 12-8 for Brighton to Wolves. So it's a pretty evenly matched game. I would say so myself. Feel free to disagree. And I guess Wolves just got the better of Brighton with the Roman Size goal. But that's a clean sheet for Wolves. Sa, who probably had a few contributions there too. So yeah, great stuff from Brighton versus Wolves. I personally don't have much to talk about. If there's anything you guys would like to add in the comments, feel free. But that is Brighton versus Wolves. Let's move on. I think the Watford game is meant to be on Thursday, right? So it should have been another game here, but we're left with just 3. We move on to Palace versus Southampton, 2-2. Let's have a look at the predictions. Palace versus Southampton, Swang predicted a 0-0 draw, and I predicted a 2-0 win to Palace, and it was 2-2 for both even Stevens. If we take a look at the stats, I believe... Give me just a second. Okay, so if you have a look here, it was a very early goal by Zaha in 2 minutes, and then the 32-minute free kick from the best set piece taker in the league, as cited by FPL Swang, James Ward-Prowse, who scored. He loves to talk about James Ward-Prowse, and fair play, what a shout that was. And 4 minutes later, a man like Broja did the deed and came back, gave Southampton the lead at 2-1, and he gave a pretty generous Hall, I believe, right? 12 points. So fair play, big differential for those who have him. And I think I saw a couple people who had him on the bench and he was coming in. So that's just things you love to see. So it's 2-1 at halftime to Southampton, 2-2 with Jordan Ayew's goal. And the 65th minute, I had Gallagher, so it's kind of disappointing. Was hoping for more, but what can you ask for, right? It's there you go. Broja with the goal and assist. Ward Prowse with the goal. Yeah, Caballero in goal. You can kind of see the defensive instability there, but I mean the fact that they kind of able to claw back Crystal Palace. Fair play to him. Zaha's on the score sheet. I have bad history with Zaha. I would always brought him in, and then he would just go on a really bad streak of form. The moment I took him out, that's when he started performing. So I just really don't want to touch Zaha right now. I'm happy with Gallagher. He's at 6 mil. Actually probably more by now. But yeah, I'm just gonna stick to him right now. But yeah, that's that game there. If we take a look at the stats real quick. 1 second. It is 60% possession for Palace. Okay, to 40% for the Saints. Southampton did take more shots, 15-9 for Southampton. Palace did have more big chances, 4-0. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I would have expected Palace to win given their form, but yeah, I guess Southampton really brought it to them. They couldn't hold on to the lead though at halftime, so yeah, 2-2 Palace and Southampton. All right, a good game as an Arsenal fan. Got 2-0 Arsenal versus West Ham, the London derby. I brought in Lacazette, and Lacazette's record against West Ham is normally pretty good. He's scored in every time they've matched up. And if he had not missed this penalty, we would be talking about him all over the place. And you guys know it because he got an assist too. And if Laka scored as a forward, if he scored, he would have probably bagged all 3 bonus points. Most likely. If it wasn't Ramsdale, of course. But yeah, whose goal was it? I think it was was it the no. I'm thinking about the last game. Oh my goodness. But the Smith Rowe goal was really good. It was a transition play from the counterattack. They brought it over. Saka, very nice, carrying the ball and then finding Smith Rowe on his left foot. Bit of a slow shot in my opinion, but I guess it's placement over power. And yeah, the Martinelli goal was a good one too. Lacazette found him. Very good, very smart pass, and Martinelli just knew how to pick his spot with the finesse. And yeah, slotted it past Fabianski. But yeah, Fabianski got good with the penalty save. And yeah, fair play to anybody who owned him. A pretty differential keeper at this point. I feel like Lacazette telegraphed the penalty a bit. He kind of it definitely wasn't one of his better penalties. It wasn't even placed pretty well. But I would still reckon, given Aubameyang's absence, I believe it was confirmed Aubameyang won't be going to the Leeds game. So, Lacazette will still be the captain, so he's probably nailed. And I would still bet on the fact that Lacazette will still be on pens despite the miss because we do lack the penalty takers in this squad, aside from Aubameyang, who's not going. So, still bank on him being on penalties. But yeah, the red card for Soufal was pretty big. I think it was towards the second half. I personally feel actually, I don't know if it's an unpopular or not, but I felt like it was a pretty harsh red card in my opinion. I think the red was given because it was denying a clear goal scoring opportunity, but he did go over with the ball and then kind of tripped Laka. But that's just me. That's what I think. I'm not a professional referee. I do not know. I could be very wrong. But yeah, feel free to chime in if you have better referee knowledge than myself, which clearly a lot of people probably do have. But yeah, it was definitely an Arsenal match. I felt possession with more shots, more chances, more shots in the box, stuff like that. The lineup was not the lineup. Succession was that it was 0-0 at halftime, and Martinelli scored the goal just close after the start of the second half, and then Soufal got the red card penalty save, and then towards the 87th minute was the second goal for Arsenal. So you know what, standard stuff. But yeah, it's always good to see a win for Arsenal, at least for me. If you're a West Ham fan, maybe not, but yeah, it's good to see. And anyone who owns Smith Rowe, fair play. If you picked Lacazette like myself, we got unlucky. We really got unlucky. But what can you do? Okay. The last two games, Spurs versus Brighton. What? Spurs versus Leicester is going to be on here. But yeah, that one got postponed too. Chelsea versus Everton. Okay, so they drew with Everton, Chelsea, despite being a team that showed promise, a lot of form to be in the top four. And they are definitely, kind of faltering a little bit. I do say so myself. If we take a look at the game, it was 0-0 at halftime, and then Mount scored first, assist from Reece James, which we will take, but then Everton respond with a goal at about the 74th minute, and then I guess it just ended like that. Possession, though, if you take a look at possession, it was still 80% to 20% for Chelsea. So I guess we might need to watch the highlights and maybe the game itself to see maybe what might have confounded with that. But 80% is a staggering amount of possession, right? So Chelsea definitely still controlled the game. More shots, 23 total compared to Everton's 5. It's quite a lot. Big chances, 6-1 for Chelsea. Chelsea had more passes, but I mean, that's just the nature of a Chelsea team, right? They like to pass. More shots in the box, more shots outside of the box. So yeah, it was just a Chelsea game, but for some reason, it just didn't fall their way. And yeah, for us Chelsea defense owners, especially double defense owners, definitely quite a concern. Yeah. I'm not quite sure what to make of the Chelsea squad at the moment. I think FPL Swang would have a better insight into that. But yeah, it's definitely quite concerning to see them draw against Everton. Everton, a side who kind of struggled a bit in the last few games. So yeah, we'll have to see what's going on per se. And last but not least, we got the final fixture for the game week. I mean, it's no surprise here. It's hindsight bias, but it's no surprise here. Liverpool 3, Newcastle 1. 1 second, I completely forgot about the predictions. Swang predict for Arsenal versus West Ham. Swang predicted a 1-0 win for Arsenal. I predicted a 2-1 win for Arsenal as well. So we're both close. We were both pretty close. Leicester versus Spurs postponed. Chelsea versus Everton. Swang predicted 2-1 to Chelsea. I predicted 3-1 to Chelsea, and were we wrong. And then finally, Liverpool versus Newcastle. Swang predicted 6-0, and I predicted 3-0. Oh, so if Swang had predicted this for the City game, he would have been a little bit closer. I was a little bit closer on this time around, but Liverpool didn't keep the clean sheet. Nevertheless, it was 3-1 to Liverpool. Salah getting that goal, almost Mane's goal, but then, it just fell into the path of Salah. And, when that happens, it's just Salah's goal. Trent's beautiful, gorgeous, thunderous rocket of a shot. My goodness me. If you haven't seen this goal, you should definitely watch it. It's the cleanest of strikes if you want it. Just clean as you'd like. This one and the De Bruyne goal as well, you want to see it. The De Bruyne strike on his right foot. Trent's is on his right as well. Really good shots. And then the Jota goal was a header, which he initially headed, and then Dubravka saved it, and then Jota just tipped it in, which he tipped in this time. The other few chances that we've seen in the previous game weeks, he wasn't able to tuck away. So it's good to see him on the score sheet. So if you had this trio, which I myself was lucky to have, you got returns all around. Trent with a very healthy 11-point haul. Shelby with a goal to wipe out that clean sheet, but we'll still take the 11 points. Yeah, Newcastle, we talked about this in the preview. Despite Eddie Howe coming in, being an attacking team, it's just kind of concerning to see that they're still lagging behind a bit. If we pull up the stats here, I did take a glance at this earlier, and I'm pretty certain Liverpool controlled it, almost like a 70% possession game. Let's have a look here to be correct and exact. Yeah, 74% possession for Liverpool. Liverpool to Newcastle's 26. Blasted out the shots, 23 total shots to Newcastle's 5. Big chances 5-0. Oh yeah, shots inside the box 16-0 for Liverpool. That is outrageous, But yeah, it's just a Liverpool game written all over the place. It was the Liverpool game. So yeah, we did expect this. And Newcastle do go up against City in game week 18, provided that game continues. So yeah, it is. We'll have to see how that goes. They're facing some pretty tough teams, Newcastle. Poor them, but the game's the game. Right. So that was the final fixture for game week 17. There were only 7 fixtures, and we're missing 3: Brentford versus United, Watford versus Burnley, and Spurs versus Leicester. So those fixtures, as well as a couple of fixtures that were left out in the start. I know there's a Burnley game floating around. And there are a couple of games in game week 18 that we're going to miss as well. And I know Chelsea have a couple blank game weeks coming up in 24, 25-ish. Yeah, I think scheduling is going to be quite interesting for the Premier League. And I guess for FPL as well. It does sound like a couple double game weeks, blank game weeks thrown here and there. We could have quite a few double game weeks given the amount of fixtures that need to be postponed. And who knows, like last season, we could be seeing a triple game week, which would be very exciting. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. But yeah, that's been at least my review of the game week 17. Sorry Joe hasn't been able to come on. I think it's been kind of rough for him trying to take care of his daughter in the absence of his wife, but nevertheless, I hope I was still able to carry the show by myself. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're still sticking around, I do thank you for that. A couple of comments here in the chat. We got Marcus, who posts his team here. Ramsdale, Cancelo, Trent, Rudiger, James, Salah, Jota, Smith Rowe, Gallagher, Bernardo, Watkins, with a bench of Foster, Antonio, Livramento, and Davis. That's a pretty good team, off of the glance right now. I know that the Gallagher is going to have a blank. And I think in the bench is probably, so we got Foster, Antonio, Livramento, and Livramento with the blanks. He's got 2 free transfers, 2.4 in the bank. Good amount of money. Planning to do Gallagher to Foden and then save the second transfer. I agree. That looks and sounds pretty good. If you can afford Foden, you most definitely want him, especially for that Newcastle game. You have Bernardo, but he's a bit of a doubt. Given Foden's form, I think, it's definitely worth putting him on. Something to note is Foden did play the false 9 role in that game, the Leeds game, just like he did against Brighton. Where he clocked up pretty good stats when he plays in the false 9. Knowing Pep, we don't know whether he'll keep that role for this coming game, but if he does against Newcastle, it could be done out for Newcastle. So, I totally agree. That's a good move. And saving the second free transfer, I feel like if you can save free transfers in this busy holiday period, it will be more power to you. So, good stuff, Marcus. Hadi here mentioned some went for Pookie, not sure why. I mean, hey, the game is the game. If you want to go for Pookie, if Pookie scored against Villa, we wouldn't be having this conversation. There's quite there before the game week, at least before hindsight, there were quite a limited amount of budget forward options other than Antonio, and even Antonio. I don't know if people would want him given his form. So, it was quite tough. You either went for a Lacazette, a rogue pick, like a Watkins for the fixture. I guess you could go for Pookie as well, right? I feel like the people who went for Watford, like King or Dennis, were very unlucky because that was a very sudden postponement. But what can you do? Hadi, thank you for attending. Thank you for engaging. And this to everyone too. Thank you for staying up with us close to 12 o'clock. Obviously, this is just the review for Game Week 17. Do stay tuned for tomorrow's stream closer to the deadline. Game week 18 preview. I think that's going to be a pretty interesting stream, given I think a lot of people have questions. And to be honest with you, I think us as the pundits will have a lot to think about as well, because it's a rough game week to go into. Do you play the free hit? What do you do? How many hits do you take? And, what's the minimum amount of players you reckon you could survive with? Lots of things, lots of questions in the air. And frankly, we won't have all the answers, but we do our best, given that things can change so quickly. But yeah, do stay tuned for that. We love your participation as well with the score predictions. I feel like that's honestly a really big highlight for us on the stream as well. We love seeing the input in terms of score predictions. I feel like the crowd tends to have more exciting picks and more exciting fixture results than ourselves. We try to go conservative, but you guys like to go for the outrageous, the outlandish, and of course, some of them do end up actually coming into fruition, because everything is just as likely to happen. So it's gonna be an earlier stream, I believe, provided I haven't said the wrong thing. I think it'll be right. It will be earlier because the deadline tomorrow is a little bit earlier. Yeah, it's 9:30 p.m. in Malaysian Standard Time. So the stream will definitely be a couple hours earlier, which means, it'll be an earlier stream. So we do hope to see a couple of engagements, some participation in the chat. We always appreciate the support. I know the title did say FBL, so would be here. I do apologize. It would have been great to hear what he had to say, but yeah, he is... His daughter took one look at me and just went, nah, I ain't having this. And I don't blame her. I can be quite the scary person to see on screen. But yeah, that's kind of funny to think about. Anyway, it's been great to engage with some of you on the stream once again, in this game week 17 review. A bit of a crazy game week, but it's only going to get crazier in game week 18. So do stick around for the stream. Like I said, for game week 18, tomorrow the stream will be earlier, so we can't wait to see your predictions, score predictions. We love interacting with you guys. Come with your questions. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions, so do come along, and it'll be great. I'm sure we'll have a couple guests too, so it's just not me rambling on for almost an hour. It's always good to see you guys. That has been me. Hope you enjoyed. Hope this was kind of informative, somewhat informative, if not at least a little bit enjoyable and entertaining. My name is Nick. You can follow me on Twitter handle here, FBL Nitro. Do follow the FBL Expectations Twitter on Twitter. And subscribe, give us a like, do all the snazzy shadams for the channel FBL Expectations on YouTube. We appreciate all the support we can get. And of course, if you guys have comments, suggestions, feedback about the show in general, we're always listening. Feel free to just drop it in a tweet and we'll definitely get around to reading that. We do appreciate the support. So that has been the Game Week 17 review. Hope you enjoyed, and hopefully next time we will have more than one guest, more than one pundit on the channel speaking for almost an hour. Take care, and we'll see you in the Game Week 18 preview. Goodbye.